Japanese tech conglomerate SoftBank says its first quarter operating profit jumped nearly 50%. The tech giant getting a boost after it sold its stake in Indian online retailer Flipkart to Walmart for a large profit. It is also preparing to take its Japanese telecoms business public. Let's bring in Shelly Palmer, CEO of the Palmer Group. He's live from here in New York. Hi, Shelly. So your reaction to these earnings, what stood out to you, and did they beat expectations?
Well, look, it was a spectacular earnings report, and I think Masa has exceeded anybody's expectations. But you have to think about the underlying reasons why. If you take away the mechanics of this particular quarter and you just look at his philosophy in investing and the way they're thinking about, he's been quoted as saying he's thinking about SoftBank as a 300-year plan, a company that's going to be here investing in the infrastructure of information for the next 300 years. It kind of gives you a sense of what a visionary with a $100 billion war chest can do.
Let's take that mountaintop view of Masayoshi Son, who launched this thing called the Vision Fund last year to invest in tech startups that he believes will, quote, fundamentally change the world. And he's already pumped $30 billion into companies like Uber, WeWork, Slack. Shelly, what has the impact of that fund been on the tech world and in shaping the future of humanity?
Well, there are two things. If you look at the tech world, there are critics that say that putting that much money out into the marketplace, it's making the other venture capitalists a little sad because SoftBank has been known to come in and overvalue companies and make irresistible offers to founders. And they've even put money in places where companies don't need the money, but they want to be part of the SoftBank vision. So it may have slightly be distorting what's happening in the venture world. But on the other side of that, they have a very specific protocol. They're investing in the future of the infrastructure that we're all going to need worldwide. And you got to applaud that. And look, they're putting their money where their mouth is. So there are, two things are happening. One, if you've got a startup that'll get us to the next level, meaning all of humanity, SoftBank's a good place to go. And if you're a startup looking for cash and you can get their favor, you may have a competitive advantage.
Are investors seeing great returns from the investments in that fund?
Masa says that he's a unicorn hunter, and they are looking for, unicorn companies as they're defined now. But in practice, I don't think anyone's track record is any better than anybody else's. But there's this halo effect around SoftBank. If you get funded by SoftBank, there's a lot of financial engineering that goes with that puts you in a much better place than if you're funded by someone else. So everything isn't exactly what it seems, although I think they're doing an amazing job, and I'm actually, you have to applaud what they've accomplished. It's really spectacular.
As you mentioned, Shelly, his rival venture capitalists often criticize the fact that this huge fund may inflate valuations. How much of a problem is that for the sector and for investors?
It's not a problem for the sector so much as it is for individual CEOs who will find that kind of cash or those kinds of valuations irresistible. It also has this kind of bizarre inflationary effect where the bigger they are, the harder they fall. If you overvalue a company, it just can't make its numbers, then it can't make its numbers. You have to think about what's required to beat the S&P, to beat the Dow, to beat, for them to make the kind of money they're talking about every quarter going forward, they're going to have to beat every index that was ever known. I'm sorry, that's probably too tall of an order. So if you discount all the hype and just look at the real numbers, when you overpay for something, you're not really helping anybody, and they are overpaying to give themselves opportunities that the size of the cash they have allows. Is that a good idea? I think a lot of people would argue it's not a great idea at all. That said, it seems to be working for them.
Indeed, their stock up at 2% right now. Shelly Palmer, thank you so much.